Hello again, my name is Gabe Zollner. You know, there's a lot of things that frustrate me with the Republican Party. And most recently, now they're coming out and they're saying that they have to have more, liberal views. They have to be more acceptance of homosexuals. They have to be more in line with liberal thinking. Well, then, if that's how y'all feel, why don't y'all become Democrats? You know, I don't think any of those things are necessary. What I think is necessary is education and providing information. I can't believe that if African Americans really understood where the KKK started from and who supported the KKK and what party was instrumental in putting the Jim Crow laws into effect, I can't believe that they would remain Democrats. And I think that's what the Republican Party needs to do. They need to start hammering home that information. They need to let the African Americans know that it's the Democrats that started the KKK. It's the Democrats that mistreated African Americans as a result of Jim Crow laws. It's the Democrats. It isn't the Republicans. This thing is so twisted, it's unbelievable. But the Republican Party, they're not advertising that fact. They're not highlighting that fact. The Republican Party should also make the American people aware that the Arab Muslims were the slave traders. They're the ones that traded in African Americans. It wasn't the Republicans. It was the Muslim Arabs that traded in African Americans. And you know, if they would take more time and try to educate African Americans as to what the Democratic Party was all about, and probably still is all about, how could African Americans want to be Democrats? How could Hispanics want to be Democrats? The focus, my friends, needs to be on education. It doesn't need to be on capitulation. It doesn't need to be rolling over and accepting homosexuality when 4% of Americans are homosexuals and 13.6% are African Americans, and yet the rest of us are intimidated by them? Wrong. Wrong. It's deadly wrong. If God wanted men to marry men, they'd be able to reproduce. If God wanted women to marry women, they'd be able to reproduce. They can't. It's God's design. I didn't do it. He did it. You know, men have outdoor plumbing, women don't. They fit together rather well. That's God's design. Anyway, I don't care if people want to live together. That's their prerogative. If men want to do whatever they do with each other, that's their prerogative. But don't be dictating and don't be telling the rest of the population that we have to accept that as being acceptable, because it isn't. Anyway, education is the key. And the Republican Party needs to start educating and stop capitulating. You know, we don't need to bend over. We don't need to bow down. We need to educate. And if you educate, guess what will happen? African Americans will realize that they have been making a terrible mistake for a very long time. Anyone that supports the Democratic Party supports the originator of the KKK. That's what they do. One of the grand wizards was a Democratic senator, for God's sakes. What's wrong with you people? Education is the key. Capitulation is not the key. Wake up, folks. Let's educate instead of capitulate.